Or maybe it is now.
It could be Hal. All right, it's a little past 7 o'clock. Thank you. I'm going to call the September 1st, 2020 Board of Selectmen's meeting to order. As we do have a quorum here, and I do see Hal Davis is in attendance, we can move forward from that. I do not have any
We have to do a
announcement.
roll call vote?
No, we got enough people here for a quorum that we don't have to. If you'd like, we can. Would it make you feel better? I'd be happy to oblige
Oh,
that.
no, Dave, we should.
Would
We
you
have
like?
one member absent, so we probably, well, not absent, that was the wrong term. One member not present
Remote.
physically. Remote.
Al is here.
Hal is here.
I like that.
I don't have any announcements. Do any of the other members of the Board of Selectmen have any commentary they'd like to throw out prior to opening the meeting?
I do not.
Seeing as none,
I'd compliment Corey on his patriotic mask.
I like it. Okay, we'll go right into our first agenda item, which Corey is here, appointment to the Board of Health and possible votes. Corey, you want to come on up?
Absolutely.
I see that you decided that you want to be appointed back onto the Board of Health.
Yep. Yep.
Excellent. So I know that at our last meeting, it was, you were on the fence, or?
Yeah, I wasn't able to attend last meeting.
Okay. So, and Matt has said that you have been doing a stellar job, and that you used to be the enforcement agent as well?
Yeah, I was animal inspector for the first 3 years, I believe. I was part of the Board of Health, and then sometime during that tenure, I joined the board, then became the agent when Joe stepped down. Dave and Joe stepped down, and I did the agent position for about a year and a half. And then I've just been on the board member for a little while now.
So how long total have you been on the board?
How long total?
Yeah.
Oh, boy. More than 6 years? Less than 10? It's been a while.
More
It's been
than,
a while. Goes by quick.
Unfortunately.
Too quick.
Are we having technical?
are you having trouble hearing us, Al?
Pull that mic over, Corey, just in case. Thank you.
Can you hear us, Hal?
Is that better?
Is he muted, Matt?
I think we are,
Is that better? Oh,
because I see our little mute button flashing.
I don't know why.
How about now? Is that better, Hal?
Yeah. There we go.
There we are.
How that happened?
That was weird.
can you hear me?
Let's just blame it on Avaya.
I don't know.
I've been hearing it all day.
Testing, 1, 2. No. All right. I don't know if they can hear me, but
I see no issues not to.
I don't have any specific.
any questions?
No questions, no.
Tim?
No, Corey, I think you've done a fine job, and I appreciate you coming in today to be
Thank you very
reappointed.
much. I appreciate the plug. I watched that last meeting. Thank you.
Appreciate you taking it on.
It's not a fun or a popular position lately.
Yeah, particularly with the COVID. Things
Oh,
have
yeah.
gotten much more difficult.
Yeah, fortunately, we have a great town nurse that goes out of her way and does a lot, and a good secretary down there that also works pretty hard, so. And a good chair. We got Bob at the helm, so he's been a good chair through this, so.
Good. So I would make a motion that we appoint Mr. Howard for a term to the Board of Health for a term ending June 30th, 2023.
Second.
Okay, the motion's been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion on it? Seeing as none. Hal, you have anything?
No?
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
No.
Aye.
All right.
Thanks, Corey.
Thank
you very much.
Corey.
Hey, be good.
Have a great night, guys.
You too.
All right, so our second item is road use for Midstate Massive Ultra Trial and possible votes. And I believe we have Rich on.
Hi, guys.
How are you, Rich?
I'm doing well, thank you.
So we're
Glad I could be here virtually.
so we're back on with the Midstate, right?
we're trying. We had a good time, good experience last year. If you guys remember, it's mostly on the Mid-State Trail, running through Douglas. There are a couple of road crossings as we get into Douglas State Park. No change to the course from last year. No change to the timing. I sent Suzanne this morning, a compliance matrix, which basically takes the state's reopening plan requirements for phase 3, identifies the low-risk activities for phase 3, of which cross-country, running, or mountain biking is considered acceptable as part of the phase 3 reopening. Last week, the Massachusetts Scholastic Society issued their fall high school requirements for cross-country. So I included that in the compliance matrix, and I showed how we either meet or exceed all of the distancing and safety precautions that the state has laid out.
That's quite a packet. It reads like War and Peace.
Yeah. But both chiefs have no issues,
No.
It's
so I don't.
It's detailed. It needs to be thorough because even though it's a small number of runners, we're looking at about 150 spread out over 8 hours, right? So it's not a big group. Still, we need to do it the right way. Oh, the event sanctioned, last year it was sanctioned, it is sanctioned again by USA Track and Field. That's the governing body for amateur running in the U.S. They updated their sanctioning requirements for COVID-19. We had to submit a medical plan to them as part of this. They accepted it and approved it. I actually have already submitted the request for the third-party insurance certificate for the town. I'm expecting to get that hopefully in the next 5 to 7 days. And I'll send that along to Suzanne once I receive it.
Talk about thorough, huh?
It's impressive.
Every base is covered there. I just have a question, Mr. Bonin, are you going to do 30, 50, or 100 miles?
I'm not there yet, Selectman Cortez.
I have no doubt you'll get there.
Yeah. It's been 3 years and I'm still fluffy.
You have until October 1st to make your decision.
There you go, yeah.
It's going to close registration. So,
I think David would make a good tag team member with him.
I should have seen that coming. yeah.
As much as I appreciate the event that you're doing, I'm not a runner myself, so if you ever see me running, you should probably start running too, because it means whatever it is that's coming, I can't beat it.
Yeah.
So I'll make a motion that we approve the road use for the Mid-State Massive Ultra Trail.
I will second.
Excellent. So the motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? It's not too late to enroll, Tim.
No,
No?
not this year.
All right. All those in favor say aye.
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 I
What was that, Hal?
Aye.
Aye. Excellent. You're all set. Thank you, Rich.
All right. Thank you very much.
Good luck, Rich.
Good night, guys.
You too.
Good night.
All right. So the third agenda item, which is near and dear to Selectman Bonin's heart, is to review the MMA support of police bill, review the letter to the MMA support of police bill and possible votes.
Thank you.
And Tim, have you had a chance to read Matt's version?
I did quickly. I did not print it out. I thought it was markedly better than what I had presented.
Would you like to see it?
I think it was built on the foundation of what you had presented.
Yeah, it might be a word or two,
I think
generously.
It was all about capturing the spirit of what you
The
were trying.
spirit. And, yeah, with that, I think the question's probably, do we seek other municipal support, or do we fire this off and then let them know that we did it, or just fire it off and let it go into the MMA archives.
What if we, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, please.
What if we fired it off and publicized it when we did and saw if other towns had perhaps adopted a similar position? You and I had discussed, and I think we discussed before the board, that other towns have written similar letters expressing their displeasure, kind of where we got the idea, to be blunt about it. So
Yep.
if we were to carry the idea on, that might be the way.
Tim, do you have the time and bandwidth to really bird dog that? Because I'd say I'd hand it right off to you. That's kind of your baby right there.
Thank you, Kevin. Yeah, to the extent that I can get some emails of some chairmen, and look, certainly Blackstone Valley, I would find that and urge them to consider what we draft and sign tonight. Sure.
And I think maybe if you used your regional planning contacts?
Knew it was coming.
Yeah, we use the power of the internet and find the appropriate people, and I just need it signed and PDF'd.
Being the consummate editor, I had two small edits I wanted to suggest.
Okay?
In the first paragraph, or actually second paragraph, we talk about the longstanding impact of structural racism. I was going to take structural out and just, why limit it?
Sure.
I don't know if anyone has an objection. And the only other edit I would make at the end is perhaps a little bit of a tooth. Thank you for your understanding and expected compliance, anticipated compliance. Or is that a bit too strong? More support? Support of compliance, yeah, support might be better.
Yep.
Duly noted, the change will be made. So we'll print it out on your letterhead, and then you'll come by and sign?
Yeah,
Yes.
works for me. So we need to vote on that, right?
I would move that we accept the letter with the edits just discussed.
Second.
Okay. Motion's been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Seeing as none, all those in favor say aye.
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 All right.
Excellent. Item number 4, we're going to go over an executive session, so we can just pass that over. Brings us to item number 5, which is approved minutes and possible votes.
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes of the August 25th, 2020 Board of Selectmen minutes.
Oh, I will not second that. Is this the meeting in which Mary was retiring?
Yeah.
In true to form, there are no references to the glowing accolades of this board to her.
Good point.
Yeah, good catch.
So to the extent that we want to add more work to someone, I think we should probably correct those, which,
Can we just do an edit? Can we suggest an edit, or?
I think we can.
I would move that we add the accolades of the board towards our former scribe for her years of outstanding performance, and that we're sorry to see her go.
I'll second that.
Okay. So the motion to amend the meeting minutes has been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion on that? Seeing as none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Brings us to your report, Mr. Administrator.
I've got a lot of bullet points, but they're all brief. We want to welcome Ashley, our new minute taker. This will be the first meeting of the Board of Selectmen that she gets. She gets a nice, easy meeting, quick meeting to deal with. So welcome on board, Ashley, and good luck. The pavement report is completed in draft form, so we were somewhat delayed by COVID. As you recall, this was a grant-funded activity, so Stantec was out and rated all of the streets, broke them into segments by their condition, and made maintenance and repair suggestions, obviously, that are going to be tailored into a longer-term plan. But it is a sobering report. So if we decided to recommend to the board and to town meeting that you would just do all your roads at once, get them all up to the target level, it'd be a $16 million project. So obviously, that needs to be broken into smaller pieces. As you can imagine, once the draft has been reviewed by the town engineer and a couple of people, the highway superintendent, we'll take the word draft off and it'll be presented to you. So within the next 2 meetings before the end of September, you'll have that full briefing from the engineers who did the report. You have a certain number of roads that are in fair to poor condition, and that's where the bulk of that 16 million lies. But what everyone tells you got to do is take care of the roads that are already in good condition, make sure they don't deteriorate any further, because that is the lowest cost. You get your most bang for your buck keeping your good roads good, and then you try to pick off the weaker roads one at a time as you can afford them. So that's the recommendation that is coming out of the draft. We already had a plan this year to do crack sealing, and today was the day. So you probably, if you were driving up and down Main Street during the day today, you saw people all the way from the termination of Webster Street, just west of the Common, all the way down here to downtown. It was crack sealed. Because much of that road is in fairly good condition and it can be preserved for a long time. Going into the future, though, this is a discussion that needs to happen because the deterioration curve is, it starts off real flat and you crack seal, you can kind of flatten that curve, but then you just get to the point where the road has gotten too much water, too many ice heaves, and it needs significant attention. So that is part of a municipal project plan and capital plan that often gets neglected because people take it for granted. They drive up and down the same street. Unless your street's in terrible shape, you're not really on top of this. But, I mean, there are some very obvious candidates that are in really poor condition. South Street is terrible. North Street isn't that much better. Those are heavily traveled roads that are in really poor condition. But there are others. So as I said, that will be within your next 2 meetings. The brand-new truck was actually delivered today, so that is the capital budget from last town meeting, had a new plow standard to replace the 1996. So that new truck will be in service in time for the fall, for the winter. So the invoice came today.
What color is that?
Omaha orange.
Okay.
So you can't miss it.
Douglas orange?
It's an Omaha orange. We continue to bubble along with 1 or 2 active cases of COVID. So it seems like every time somebody drops off quarantine, we get another case. So we're starting to roll up a little bit, but it's not growing either. So it's holding its own. Coming up, the board will probably be quite busy. We are going to review, I have it in draft format, so it's been before Labor Council and the Finance Director, a renewal of the fire chief's contract. So that will be on your agenda. Just a reminder that under the Town Administrator Act, the appointment is made by the Town Administrator. You have 21 days to act. If you don't act, it's deemed approved. So that's pretty much how that works. It's how all the department heads are that way under the act. The correspondence, and I tried to bring everybody up to speed on this because there's been so many proposals for cannabis establishments up and down Davis Street. They all kind of stepped on each other's toes in terms of being clear about who they were, what their intentions are. Flying Goose has provided a lengthy letter and request of the board that will be put on your next agenda for sure. They explain their situation, they explain their track record in other places in the Commonwealth, what's live, what's not live. They were delayed by COVID out in Holyoke, but looks like that retail venture is still going to go forward in Holyoke. So whatever developments may have occurred in Uxbridge, they haven't been replicated elsewhere. They're a viable business. But it was a good dialogue because we finally got to the truth of, who's behind it, what they're up to, and, what they were looking for from Douglas. They do want to have a retail establishment in Douglas, but they are willing to voluntarily just rule out Davis Street because they don't want to be too close to anybody else's business with the retail piece. That's all well and good. When people do things voluntarily, it makes everyone's life easier. The two things that will come up regarding real estate in town in September, just recall that you will be opening the bids for the Webster Street property at the end of the month. There's been 5 or 6 parties that have pulled the documents from the RFP, so I'm hoping that we get a solid group of bids. And lastly, there is a suitor that has a specific need for a training school, an outdoor training facility for hoisting licenses and CDLs, mostly hoisting licenses. Really wants to be in Douglas, but wants to lease property from the town. And the most suitable pieces of property are not necessarily under the control of the Board of Selectmen. So I have one environmental question that I really want to dig down on before I get back to that. But the travel, especially if it's in control of if it's not under the control of the selectmen, the other board that has control over it needs to vote to send it back to the Board of Selectmen for disposition. If it is a lease, it doesn't need to go to town meeting. You can lease up to 20 years. So that's the path that we're on. I've broached the topic very briefly with the superintendent to give him a sense that there's interest in a freestanding lot within the school department's holdings. And then lastly, since I brought up the passing of Albert Brian, who nobody in the world knows, in my last report to the board, I have to talk about somebody that a lot of people think they know or know a lot about. This past week, Coach John Thompson passed away, and as many people know, I'm a Georgetown alum, and I know that we have 2 or 3 students in the time that I've been here as town administrator that have been admitted to Georgetown. There's a couple of Georgetown families in town. John Thompson was really the epitome of what many white college students would say is a real leader when it came to civil rights and racism and confronting the issues, because he may have been controversial, but he was always classy about it. And I think as I watched a few videos over the weekend and into yesterday of his career, the one that struck me is that in 1984, after Georgetown won the national championship, he was asked if he was proud to be the first black coach to ever taken a team to the championship, and he was offended by the question. He said, "You mean to ask me in 1984 if I thought I was the first black man smart enough to bring a team and win a championship? I'm offended by the question." And it was a good answer, and I think there are lots of role models that people can latch onto today. I wish people would latch on to really constructive, proactive, and still aggressive and outspoken leaders like John Thompson. But as a student there, he made it worthwhile because we just had the coolest times with all the people he was able to bring and the stories that people were able to tell. Allen Iverson has made no mystery of the fact that John Thompson saved his life. Gave him the opportunity to play basketball when prison was in his future, and dying in prison was his fear. So Dikembe Mutombo speaks for himself, that all of the great things that John Thompson did. So it's kind of a sad day to see him pass away, but I won't take any more of your time with my memories.
Relatively young, too, right?
78, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That's all I had, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Does anybody have any open session for topics not reasonably anticipated 48 hours in advance of the meeting?
Well, since we've only been here for 30 minutes, I'll extend it a little bit longer. Why it was item number 4 on our agenda today, after the board last week made it clear that that was going to not be?
So it was supposed to be on a draft, and that's on me. I forgot to send that email to Suzanne. It was going to stay on the draft agenda, but it wasn't going to be on the published agenda unless there was something up.
Okay.
So that's my fault.
So, yeah, I just think it's unfair for Dr. Vieira and 20 days to go before school opens to have to log into every single one meeting. but I don't think he was on tonight, so.
No, I did have the luxury of speaking with him. He is aware that it's a draft item, and unless if there's actually something to report, it will remain a draft item, but not on the published agenda, unless there's something to actually discuss.
Good. How are we doing this executive session? Are we staying here? Are we going?
There's a wide margin of error staying in here because we're not sure if the mics stay hot, how long we lag on the broadcast.
Which has
It
happened.
is an executive session, so I think it would be best to retire to the Selectman's office and call counsel from there. That means you can conference Hal in.
Yeah.
The VIA is just as good on my computer in that office, is it? So,
Yeah, I mean,
however
we
you want to
could,
do it.
we can just
So
call
what
him.
would you like me to do, the call in, or you call me, or stay on the computer?
I can call you from my cell, and then we'll merge in Attorney Bowen. Does that work? And then just throw it on speaker?
Yeah.
Is that acceptable to you?
Call me on the business line, 3900 number.
Okay. So Tim, I'd be looking for one of your fancy motions.
All right, I'll make a motion that we move into executive session for the purpose of investigation strategy, and then to leave executive session for the purpose of adjournment.
I would second that motion.
Motion has been made and seconded. Can I have a roll call vote, please?
Bone and I.
Cortez, aye.
Davis, aye.
Hughes, aye.
Morris, aye.